Hello, my name is Gao Chang, and I will be discussing about the liver disease called cholestasis. Cholestasis is not a common liver disease, but it's more common in pregnancy. It happens more in pregnancy, but it's 1 out of every 1,000 pregnancy that could potentially have it. They say that it's genetic, but nobody in my family had it, and I end up having it. I will also be sharing my experience with you guys, and the reason why I want to do it, share what cholestasis is because not a lot of people know about it. Well, pregnancy can cause your skin to stretch, no doubt about it. It's amazing. It's a miracle that a human body could carry a child like that and stretch and still go back to almost the same. But with stretching, it does come with itching, and people scratch and people itch because it helps their skin stretch. But what happens whenever your itching becomes very severe, where you're literally just sitting there scratching and you are literally it's crazy because it's itchy in the places that it's normally not itchy. For instance, in my experience, I was literally scratching the palms of my hand, literally just sitting there at my desk scratching away, and the sole of my feet, the places that don't really itch at all, well, never really itch. The reason why I want to share the knowledge of cholestasis is because not all doctors and practitioners have experience with cholestasis. It's not so common that every doctor experienced it. I was fortunately lucky that my doctor had experience with it. But there are so many stories where their doctor never experienced it, didn't know what it was, and it caused a stillborn. It's really sad. That's why I really wanted to share what cholestasis is, because I don't want that to happen to anybody. For me personally, in my opinion, I believe that cholestasis is one of the most dangerous condition that you could have during pregnancy, because if you're diabetic during pregnancy, it doesn't cause stillborn, or you just have to watch what you eat. But if you have cholestasis and it's undetected, you could lose your baby. And having gone through that once, you start to grow attached to your baby that's growing inside of you. And if you go through 9 months and you have the baby and the baby is not live, it's a terrible feeling. Some symptoms of cholestasis is the itch. That's the main indicator to really know that you have cholestasis. Now, when I say itch, I'm not talking about, oh, you're scratching your stomach, it's itchy. No, I'm talking about literally it's itchy. It's like you have a rash. It's crazy beyond itch. You just want to pull your hair out. You can't do nothing about it. That's the main symptom. That's the main flag that if you were to tell your doctor, they should be like, oh, hey, let's get your blood work done. Some other symptoms are, which, it's it happens and it's not a main it wouldn't come across your mind hey, there's something wrong with me, instead of the severe itching. Some other symptoms will be dark urine, colored feces, your fatigue, loss of appetite, or jaundice. You that doesn't really come across your mind. But when you're scratching forever and on and on and on, and you're just you want the itch to stop, then that's the main indicator. That's why the other symptoms, it's hard to detect it if you don't have that itch. So that's why I say, if you have a crazy itch, just ask your doctor for blood work. What the least that could happen is that it comes back negative and you don't have it. At least you know. Research have shown that how it starts is when you're pregnant, you have a lot of estrogen, especially during the last trimester. And when you have a lot of estrogen, then it will trigger your gallbladder to make more bile for your body. So that's one thing that happens. And American Pregnancy's website stated how cholestasis affects the body. And I will read it word for word. Pregnancy hormones affect liver function, resulting in slowing or stopping the flow of bile. The gallbladder holds bile that is produced in the liver, which is necessary for the breakdown of fats in digestion. When the bile flow in the liver itself is stopped or slowed down, this causes a buildup of bile acid in the liver, which can spill into the bloodstream. So when it gets into your bloodstream, that's why the palms of the hand start itching, and it's like there's something in your skin, you just want to scratch it. And so I did a diagram. I don't know if you can see that, but this is the liver that I drew. Excuse my drawing, but they're not up to par. And this is the pancreas, and this is the stomach, and I did dotted. It's covering the pancreas supposedly, and this is the small intestine. So what's happening is that this liver, this side is the hepatic, and this is the gallbladder. So when your gallbladder is making too much, it goes into these two. It's creating, it will overflow, and then your estrogen would keep telling it to make more. It will either stop or get blocked, and it will start flowing into your body. It will start flowing into the rest of your body through the bloodstreams. The only way that you could test if you have cholestasis is through blood work. And from my experience, they took about 4 of those vials, the test tubes, and they sent it off because they don't have a machine there to test it, because it's not common for somebody to have pregnancy, because there's a lot of pregnancy nowadays. But it will take up to a week to get the test results, and trust me, that week is literally it seems like forever. But in the meanwhile, there's a medication that you can take, and it will help kind of tell your gallbladder to, hey, stop creating so much bile, or help with the blockage or the flow. What is actually being tested in the blood work is how much bilirubin is in your blood. Bilirubin is the byproduct of bile. When you're tested positive for cholestasis, when a person is tested positive for cholestasis, that person will have to go twice a week to their doctor's office and get a non-stress test done. And it lasts about, I would say, 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes. 15 minimum, 30 maximum. If you do it past 30 and they don't feel no baby movement or contraction, then they will send you to the ultrasound and just double check on the baby. But if you say the baby is active and within 15 minutes the baby does 2 big moves, then they'll let you go. But in my experience, I literally was at the doctor's office every day. It felt like that because literally everybody knew who I was. But I'm glad that I had that experience where I had good doctors and nurses where they took care of me. And they were very nice and they were very kind, and they kind of walked me through what it was and what needs to happen, like what I need to do and what will happen. Now, the only way to fully be treated from cholestasis, if you do develop it in the pregnancy, if it is developed in the pregnancy, is giving birth, delivering the child, the baby, and that would, it would lower your estrogen and it wouldn't trigger your gallbladder to make too much bile. Now, there is a high chance of reoccurrence when a person already has cholestasis, tested positive for cholestasis in previous pregnancy. It's better to let your doctor know that you have that, so that they can monitor it. Because at the beginning of the pregnancy, everything could look normal, everything could look fine, but it's at the end of your pregnancy. If you just ignore all the signs, all the symptoms, then you are putting your baby at risk. The baby could become a stillborn, and that's not what nobody wants. I want people to be more aware of this pregnancy cholestasis, because it's not something to be taken lightheartedly, because it can cause stillborn, and that's very traumatic to anyone. It's worse than a miscarriage, because you are carrying that child. You grew an attachment to that child, and when you lost that baby, and the baby's just lying there, it's sad. But if you do all the treatments and you do what you're supposed to do, and then everything will be fine. Because I went through it, and it was hard, it was very stressful, but I now have a beautiful baby boy. But it's something that everybody should be aware of, because it's not common for males, but it's more common for females in pregnancy. Out of 1 in 1,000 pregnancy, and everybody's always having kids. So I would say, if you have a very severe itch and you're just like, oh my god, why am I itching so much, then that's a big indicator. That's the main indicator that, hey, light bulb, check it out. That's what happened to me. It was my woman intuition that I was just like, this is not right. I should call my doctor, see what's going on. The moment I called them, they're like, hey, can you come in right now to get blood work done? And I did. I went in, got my blood work done. Test result came within 6 days, and they call me and they're like, hey, we know it's the weekend, we know you can't come in, but we already put a prescription at your pharmacy to go pick up, just so that it will help me. Now, the medication does help with the itch. Once you take the medication, the itch is gone, trust me. So that's why if you have a crazy itch and it's not your abdominal area, it's like your hands and your feet, then I would get it checked out. And if you want to get rid of that itch, take the medication, because it does help. There are some cases that it don't help, so there's like different types of medication that could help. So that's something that if it doesn't work out, like the medication don't work out for you, then they could change you to a different one. But all in all, my experience with cholestasis, since no one around me, not even my friends, not even my families, no one knew what cholestasis was until I had it. And maybe that's why I have it, so that I can be able to share it with you, especially not just the knowledge of it and the research of it, but my own personal experience, because that is, that's the best way to let somebody know with experience. And gratefully, I don't have it anymore, because I gave birth to my son. And when you have cholestasis, they will make you give birth at 37 weeks, no matter what, right on the dot. I was admitted to the hospital for 6 in the morning, and I was admitted for 18 hours, and I was induced. I didn't have a natural labor. Well, I didn't have a natural process. I didn't wait till my water broke. None of that. I was induced, and they popped my water. I was induced for 12 hours, and they popped my water, and that's whenever everything started really being painful. And then I was luckily enough, I gave birth naturally without no epidural or anything, but it's something I wouldn't have wanted. I would have wanted to, you know, make sure he's like fully baked 40 weeks, but it's okay. He is a very, very hyper boy. He's very chunky, and I wouldn't trade it for the world with this experience. And you know, since I know that I did have it before, I could my next pregnancy, I could let my doctor know, and we could be more cautious about it. Thank you, and I hope you guys enjoy me yapping a lot talking about cholestasis, but this is a very serious liver disease that, you know, people should know more about, because it's not common, you know, to be spread out, but people should know about cholestasis because it can cause stillborn. Thank you. This is my son, and he's 9 months now. What are you seeing? Hi. And you know, I would not trade him for the world.